Hi, welcome to Al's Woodworking. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to turn what's called a slimline pen. I rather like this pen. It's a little bit thicker than your traditional slimline pen. And some people would prefer that. It's a nice size, somewhere between a slimline and say a larger flat top pen or something like that. So we'll turn that pen today. Before we start, what are you going to need? We're going to need the pen kit. You can purchase at a lot of retailers out there or online. Also, it's handy to have the instructions available. Once you turn a few, you may not need them, but it's always good reference. And of course, in the pen kit comes your 2 tubes. Today we're going to turn it out of Paduke. It's a wood from, I believe it's South Africa. You can typically buy them as individual pen blanks, or if you have the equipment, which is basically a table saw, you can buy them in larger pieces. It's much more economical. I went ahead before we started today and actually cut a pen blank in half and drilled one hole, and we're going to discuss the other as we go. The other thing is I like to use a couple earplugs, actually about 4 earplugs per pen. I'll come back to that in a little while. Some CA glue, either medium or thick viscosity. We're going to use this to glue the brass tubes into the pen blank. I like to have some Q-tips around to take off the extra glue. You're going to need a mandrel. There's 2 types, type A and type B. Actually, it's just 2 different sizes. Type A is a little bit smaller. Normally when you buy these, you get an assortment of bushings that come with it, kind of all-purpose bushings. Or if you turn quite a few pens, or if you turn on more than one of an individual type, you may want to purchase the actual streamlined pen bushings, which I have here. Just makes it much quicker and produces much better quality. The other thing you're going to need, while we're at it, I like to keep my bushings in a pill bottle. I have on there streamlined round top, mandrel A, and 7mm drill bit. The other thing you should have, and I strongly recommend, is a respiratory mask to wear when you're sanding. As they say, it's not the dust you can see that hurts you, it's the dust that you can't see. So I strongly recommend a respiratory mask. The other thing you're going to need when you start to assemble the pen is some type of pen press, or typically, if you're not doing a lot of pen making, a good quality clamp will do the same thing. I happen to have a homemade pen press here, and we'll look at that when we start to assemble the pen. So, the first thing we're going to do is going to take the drill press. Oops. Before I started, I have this pen blank. You see a black marker on there. I do that because in some woods you're going to see some grain. And it's nice when you have the top and the bottom of the pen, you can actually get the grains to line up. So I do felt pen mark like that. If it was the other way, the grains are not going to line up. Actually, move it closer. The grains will not line up once you assemble your pen. So I mark them like that, drill the holes, and install them on the mandrel on the lathe in that fashion. But let's go over. We're going to drill the hole in this other pen blank. I'm not sure if you can see or not, but I have an X marked diagonally from corner to corner on that blank, and that gives us the center point. We're going to drill a 7mm hole down the length of this pen blank. We'll go to the drill press now. Okay, so I have my pen blank here with the diagonal X on it. We're going to line that up at the center of the bit, which I've handily already done. On here I have a homemade jig for actually drilling pen blanks. It's much more economical than actually purchasing a pen blank drilling vise. Very easy to adjust. I got one clamp on the front and a drill press vice clamp on the back. Very quick and very easy to adjust. Also on there, there's a horizontal clamp. This one's by Bessie, and it's kind of nice because it adjusts to different thicknesses of wood. So whether it be the 3/4 inch that I have here, or 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch, the clamping action here will adjust to the pin size, or to the blank size. I'm going to go ahead and drill that 7mm hole down the length of the pin blank. I'm going to drill it in a smooth, steady fashion. There you have it, pretty much dead on top and bottom. Okay, so we have both pin blanks here with the holes down the center. We're going to go ahead and glue our brass tubes in using our medium to thick viscosity CA glue. Now back to these earplugs, you'll see I have one tube here. It's done now. It's been sanded just to roughen it up and have the glue adhere better. I like to put the earplug in the end and cut them off. It prevents glue from getting inside the tube, which is one of the major causes of pin failure. So whatever you use, you want to keep the glue out of the inside of the tube, yet you want a good covering from top to bottom on the pin blank. So just to demonstrate, I just roll up the earplug as if you're putting it in your ear. Slip it in the end, and slip it in, oops, slip it in the other end. With your X-Acto knife, I'll just cut the excess off. And that continues to swell up and plug the end of your pen blank. That's just the first tip of the day. I'm going to go ahead and spread some CA glue. As I mentioned, you want it to cover from top to bottom. And I'm going to back up just a little bit here. You notice these two tubes of the different sizes. That's why it's handy to have the instructions to know which is the top of the barrel, bottom of the barrel. When you cut your blanks, you want to cut them probably about 1/8 of an inch longer on either side. I'm going to set it aside for a second while we do the other one. Same thing. And then the brass tube. I have used epoxy to glue tubes in before. It works well. And then I tried the CA glue. It works equally as well, but it has the added benefit of drying within seconds as opposed to epoxy where you're looking at an hour or more to wait. So again, put that in there, move it around. Paper towel to get the excess glue off the top. Actually, push the bottom in a bit first. Excess glue off the top. Kind of a messy job. Again. Clean out that end of the tube with a Q-tip. While we're working on this, I should mention that if you're working with CA glue, it's handy to have a bottle of acetone handy, because should you get your pen blank stuck on your fingers or your fingers stuck together, acetone will actually debond that CA glue. Now that I have the tubes in there, I'm going to go ahead and take a little brad nail here and grab the earplug out. And as it comes out, it expands, and any glue that may be in the end of the pen blank is actually removed with the earplug, this ensuring no glue inside the tube. So there we go, 2 pen blanks with the brass tube inserted down the center, and I have the marked to match up the grain. Okay, before we mount these 2 pin blanks on the lathe, we're going to have to trim off the excess piece of the pin bank to expose the brass end of the tube. You see, I took the liberty of doing one while we're away, and you can see it's trimmed right down to the point where you can see the brass tube, and it stops right there. To do that, I'm going to use a barrel trimmer. And you stop, it will actually stop once it hits the brass tube. Do both sides. And there's our 2 pin blanks ready to turn.